Hi, this is my senior capstone proposal. My name is Christopher Kitamura, and my project name is Editing for Your Attention. A little overview about me. My name is Christopher, but you can call me Chris. I transferred here from Leeward Community College back in spring 2020. I graduated from Roosevelt High School back in 2016. I am currently studying to get my bachelor's in creative media with a concentration in general creative media. Going over the executive summary, for this proposal, I'm going to share my plans. I'm going to state my thesis. I'm going to show my objective and my rationale for my research conducted, and I'm going to address the significance of my proposal with my research. Going into the thesis, with the rapid increase of online video on social media platforms that seek to engage audiences with succinct content, there are the best practices in short-form video editing that can be applied to maximize audience retention across various media like television, online videos, and social media. My okay. My objective and rationale for the research conducted is that I have a fondness for movies and specifically how movies were made, from wardrobe to special effects. At a young age, I wanted to create online videos highlighting the things that I liked. But even back then, I realized that in order for people to be interested in what I had to say, I would have to change my approach. Most people have a story to tell, but not many people are willing to listen. By conducting this type of research, I am not only preparing myself for the future as a potential video editor, but I'm also raising awareness about certain video editing and narrative techniques that other content creators can recognize and use to possibly raise their chances of having their own stories heard by wider audiences. My plans for my senior capstone is that at the end of the capstone semester, I will deliver a project that puts the different editing techniques that I have learned this semester, as well as the techniques that I will learn in the capstone semester into practice through a series of 5 10-minute videos or skits that I will upload online to YouTube. In addition, I will create analysis videos explaining my editing process for each video, which will be uploaded parallel to the short videos. The significance. Ever since the earlier days of television, media outlets have been wrestling for the attention of the audience. Now, with the wide selection audiences have for entertainment today, paired with our diminishing attention spans, it is even more important for companies and content creators to get the attention of the consumer. The future implications being that content creators need to find different and more creative ways to engage with their audience in order to get their attention and to watch their videos. Okay, so the two studies that I want to focus on for this presentation would be the first one being a 2015 study by Microsoft Canada and their exploration as to why attention spans have been decreasing over the course of the past few years. They took 112 different respondents and tested their brain activity and categorized them based on how much media they consume in their daily lives, dividing it between light, medium, and heavy. And they tested their sustained attention by having them interact with digital devices doing a multitude of different activities, whether that's simply at their computer and web browsing, doing doing activities on multiple screens like watching a video and browsing social media sites, actually just using social media sites, and tech adoption, which is the consumption of material that is about like uh, tutorial videos, online classes, and stuff like sales pitches and stuff to see how much attention people were actually having towards the actions that they were doing in their digital lives. And out of all of these percentages, the people that have the heavier digital device uses have a shorter percentage for sustained attention. And even though that sounds bad, what they found in their studies was that even though overall attention spans are going down, people are having more high bursts or more a bunch of short bursts of high attention, and they're able to process a lot of information faster than people were back then. So they're able to do a lot more with less. If someone is interested by something immediately, then they'll stick around. But if they're not, then they'll keep seeking more engaging stimuli. What this tells us is that if people aren't interested in what in what they find in videos or what have you, then they'll move on to something else. They'll go on to a social media site if they're not interested in a video, or they'll just click off on videos if they're not interested. The second study that helps supplement the idea of attention spans is another 2015 study done by the University of Johannesburg, where they took 26 3-year-old children and they wanted to see if video editing pacing had an effect on the attention span of children. And to test this, they used two different videos. They were both educational. You can see that they were both around the same duration. One of them was 12 minutes, one of them was 11 minutes and 45 seconds. And they all featured a cast of colorful characters with the goal of teaching children, lessons and stuff. But the big defining feature between these videos was the pacing, which is characterized by the number of camera angle or the number of camera scene changes, which is like cuts, pans, different kind of camera movements. And what they found is that on average, the kids had more sustained attention towards the faster paced videos, which leads credence to the idea that faster paced videos are able to hold the attention of people longer. And these studies both hammer home the idea that people are trying to find information, or people are trying to find content that interests them right away, that is able to hold their interest for a long period of time. The three shows that I wanted to focus on for this specific proposal, and the three shows that I highlighted in my paper were Hell's Kitchen, the popular cooking and competition show in the early 2000s. I'm using an episode from season 4. For the online video part, I am using Logan Paul's content on him buying an expensive Pokemon card. And for the short form social media side, I am using Zach King and his cycling through London video. Now, to explain their relative popularity, Hell's Kitchen has a Nielsen rating of 11.84. And Nielsen ratings are the metric used by advertisers and a rating that shows off like the popularity of a show within a certain panel, which Nielsen ratings are a panel of randomly selected individuals that Nielsen collects data on in order to gauge whether or not a show is popular. And with a 11.84, that signifies that out of the 40,000 different homes that Nielsen used as their panel, 11.84% of the people watched this exact episode at the same time, which shows that 11.84% of the American population at the time liked watching this episode. And looking at this graph, I documented the Nielsen ratings of the first 10 seasons. And with season 4, that is the peak of Hell's Kitchen in terms of its popularity. And despite its duration of 42 minutes, it still has over 100 different shots within the first 2 minutes, which is an element that I will elaborate on later. Logan Paul is a very famous content creator on YouTube, controversial, some might say, but despite, I don't want to focus on the views specifically, because even though views are important, they don't tell us a whole lot. But what does tell us more information is audience retention, which is a metric that is both present on YouTube and TikTok. And what it tells us, it represents viewer interaction as a graph. The higher the audience retention, the more people watch this specific part of the video. This directly tells the content creator what parts of the video the audience liked more than others, or where the interest peaked, or as you can see, as the video goes on, the video tapers off. But why this specific graph is important is because out of the 9 minutes this video lasts, this video had a very big 75% audience retention rate, which shows you that out of the 6.4 million people that watched this video, most of them stuck around till the very end for almost 7 minutes. And Zach King, he does videos on TikTok, and he is ranked currently, according to Social Blade, which is a analytics website for multiple content creators. He is the 6th most followed person on TikTok. But why do I want to compare these 3 content creators? They all have wildly different content. Hell's Kitchen had cooking is a cooking show. Logan Paul is a talking about how much he or his process to getting a Pokemon card, and Zach King is doing short form TikTok videos. The thing that ties them all together is the 3-act structure. The 3-act structure is a framing device used by some of the most popular content creators in their respective mediums. Even though their content and editing styles are different, they all show examples of the 3-act structure, which they make a narrative that can be divided into a setup, a confrontation, and a resolution. The future implications being that using the 3-act structure gives the creator a solid foundation that is more digestible for the audience, while providing narrative freedom for the creator and how they want to express their story. And next, I'm going to use examples of the 3-act structure using the 3 content creators that I highlighted. In Hell's Kitchen, the first act, a montage is used to introduce all 15 of the different chefs, and the montage also serves to foreshadow later events. Act 2, the chefs are divided into 2 teams and working Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. And during all of that, to highlight the conflict, there are musical cues that emphasize the small victories and the massive failures that they do over the course of the episode. Act 3, the chefs who perform the worst vote to kick off a member of their team. Through the actions they have done prior to the video to the episode, whether their personality displayed them as cocky, whether they were a bad team player, that ends up resulting in them being voted to be kicked off. Setup, conflict, and payoff. The next one is Logan Paul. Logan Paul and his goal to find his rare Pikachu Illustrator card. Act 1. Logan's goal is to acquire the limited edition card. A montage is used to hype up the existence of the card and obscuring the real appearance of the card. Act 2. After much deliberation, Logan's seller refuses the deal and Logan must find another seller. A low point in the video. The musical cues lead to silence as Logan's dread set in, putting him back to where he started. Logan finds another seller in Act 3 and celebrates when he finally gets the card. The audience is rewarded with Logan by having minimal editing shown when the card is in his hands. And what I mean by rewarded is that throughout the first 2 acts, whenever you are shown, as an audience member, whenever you are shown the card, you are shown this, which is not the actual appearance of the card, but is in a artist's interpretation of what the real card looks like. And only in Act 3 are we shown the real look of the card, which is the one at the bottom over here. And what I mean by minimal editing is that unlike the montage at the beginning, which was shown to hype up the existence of the card, this card is very rare. This card is valued. There's only 20 of them in the world. Only in Act 3 do we get a real look at the card. Setup, conflict, and resolution. And the final example that I will use is a bit more straightforward. Zach King is cycling through London, but he gets a flat tire. Act 2, Zach removes his flat tire but needs a replacement. And Act 3, Zach notices a Ferris wheel in the background and uses it as a replacement wheel. His content relies on visual gags using special effects. And even though using a wheel using the Ferris wheel in the background is seen as some sort of like a random kind of out of nowhere thing, the Ferris wheel is in frame for a majority of the video, giving the audience the solution in plain sight. Also, the visual gag acts as the payoff for a more or less mundane situation. The thing that I want to hammer home with the 3x structure is that it is a framework that is useful for organizing a narrative. It is not a strict guideline that must be followed to the letter. Even though even though 2 out of the 3 content creators that I used similar techniques for highlighting certain acts, the way that they use those techniques differed from each other. From Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen, the montage was used to show the 15 chefs at their highest and lowest points, making the audience wonder at the start of the show, how do they get to there? It poses a question. But Logan Paul uses montages as a way of informing the audience, of giving more context as to why this card is so valuable, aside from it just being expensive. It is a rare card there's only 20 of them in the world. Even then, not all of them are in the best condition. And again, with musical cues, the Hell's Kitchen uses liberal amounts of musical cues as a way of setting the tone. You did something good musical cue that is pleasant to listen to. You did something bad, harsh musical cue, and someone is sad. But even Logan Paul, he uses music as a way of conveying tone, but the music cues lead to silence when he's at his lowest point, leaving us to kind of be in the moment with him. It's an inverse of the technique used by Hell's Kitchen. And Zach King, he doesn't use montages, and he doesn't even use similar techniques to the previous 2, but he still shows an example of the 3x structure. Moving on to my next slide. My proposed solution is that using editing techniques for the purpose of elevating elements of the 3x structure offers more digestible content that is appealing to wider audiences. My target audience for this project is not for general audiences, as I feel like this information is more applicable and more useful to the content creators and the video editors, the ones that are making the stories themselves. It is not unreasonable to assume that people that find this project, that people that aren't content creators, would find this information interesting, but not as useful as, say, somebody who is looking to find techniques to organize their own content, which is why it won't be aimed at general audiences. My preparation and process for this project is: 1, I'm going to construct outlines, write an outline for a video using elements of the 3-act structure, including the theme, location, and various editing techniques planned for the video, which is subject to change. And then I will get approval from the instructor. When I get the okay, I'm going to start recording and editing my footage, going on site to record everything necessary with on-hand equipment. And after I get all the footage, I will cut down all of the raw footage to construct a video according to the outline. And I will take notes about certain editing decisions for my analysis video. Maybe I discover a technique that is more applicable, or maybe I cut something out. And my last step is the post and improve. I will upload my videos to YouTube and announce on social media sites to get feedback from different social circles, whether that's other students, friends, family, people that are in the know about video editing and content creation. And I will use that feedback in tandem with me learning new techniques. And these decisions will be and these will inform my decisions for future video outlines. And my deliverable will be the culmination of my research and feedback, resulting in the creation of videos using previously learned and new techniques. And paired with my content will be a video explaining my rationale for my video editing process. I'm using Hayden Hiller Smith's social media, his Twitter, and his YouTube channel as a way of visualizing how I will upload my content in the form of the deliverable. I will use either my current school account or I will make a new account to upload all of my videos, both content themselves and also editing breakdown videos, which again explain my decisions for why I edited the way that I did. And after that, I will upload both of these kinds of videos to social media as a way of engaging with people that have something to say about my content. And that is it. Thank you very much for listening to my senior project proposal. Are there any questions?